Late winter and early spring, that is when a lipless crankbait can dominate. And this new lipless crankbait is already cashing checks on the Elite Series, while most anglers haven't even figured it out yet. This is the Bill Lewis Hammer Trap, and let me tell you, geeks, it's already cashing checks. He was a big player on the Guntersville Elite Tournament, the first one of the 2026 season. Now, this comes in two sizes. It actually comes in three. I think there's like a junior or a small version. I didn't pick up any of these. What's funny is before the Elite Tournament, I actually picked up a whole bunch of these, and so I'll show that to you. I think they're a little hard to get right now because of the Elite Tournament, but we will put links in the description as we always do. We don't do memberships or Patreon because we like to include every single one of you all in the information that we give and be able to share it with everybody to help everybody catch more fish. So the best way to support us is bookmark that link in the description or scan this QR code and bookmark it on your mobile device. But these things are extremely unique, and I picked up several different colors. We'll go through some of the colors that I like. You can keep it pretty simple. This particular color right here, of course, is Fire Crawl. They come in the two sizes. This is a 3/8 ounce, and it's 2.5 inches. So it's got a good small profile to it. This is a 5/8 ounce, and it comes in a 3-inch size. So a little heavier, not quite as a little bit longer, but really not that big at all. So what sets the hard knocking hammer trap apart from the original? Well, the original had a tritone chamber in it. So it had 3 different sounds. It was really loud, really had a lot of drawing power. But for me, like in places like this, when I'm fishing for bass that are a little more finicky, I want something like the hard knocker because it's a single knock bait, which also helps you cast this thing a mile. So it's got a hard knocker in it that also helps you cast. Something that I love, and this is about all of the hammer traps, is the design of this. So when it stops, it's going to have a great fluttering action on the fall. It's got that wide nose. You geeks know, you've heard me talk about in the past how I like a wide nose. Where this line tie comes, if you burn this bait, it's going to tip up on its nose, and that wide nose is going to keep it from getting stuck as you come across. I love to burn these in flat areas in the spring. Grind that nose super shallow, and that wide nose will come across and protect the hooks. So if you hit some sort of stump or log, you're a lot less likely to get hung up. Now, there's also another retrieve that I like to do this time of year in the cold weather for us. And today we're out on a lake that I haven't got a lot of history on Watauga Reservoir, or Watauga Lake. It's a reservoir, so I don't know. Watauga Lake. And this little bait for me works great on fishing points, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, the other thing is this comes with Mustad triple grips already installed, so you don't have to worry about changing out the hooks or the split rings. All right, so I've already showed you the Fire Crawl. Now let's go over a few of the colors that I picked up for myself. And this one is called Sneaky Shad. Root beer is always a great color in a lot of the crankbaits we use around here. So they've got a root beer crawl that I decided to pick up. I had an older gentleman one time in a tackle shop tell me it just won't work unless it's got a purple back on it, and I believe him now. So I picked up some purple nurple. This is an incredible little color. I think even bass love some seafood. This is oyster. And if you ain't got a chrome blueback or a chrome splatter blueback, then what are you doing? And even though we don't have perch in our lakes, well, we got some, but it's not a predominant meal for the bass. I love this translucent color. It's going to be one of my go-tos, I can tell you already. This is Pro Perch. Always got to have a good shad color, and this one's called Silverado. All right, now let me show you how I rig these up and rod, reel, and line. Because of a couple of the retrieves, that I'm going to show you today, we're not going to tie a pitzine knot. We're going to tie a San Diego jam. Need a little extra oomph on our knot right there. If you want to, you can tie a double San Diego jam, but I think we'll be all right. Just have to make sure you retie them when you need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass it through the eye. Then we're going to come up and we're just going to wrap it around 5 to 7 times. We're going to pass it through the bottom and then through the top loop. We're just going to cinch it down and cut the tag in. So there's 2 different types of rod, reel, and line setup that you're probably going to have when it comes to throwing any kind of lipless. I don't have a lot of grass. If you're throwing it into grass and ripping it, you're going to want a little stiffer rod than we're going to be using here today. We're primarily going to be throwing this around rock or do nothing bottoms, open water. You know, we're not going to throw it around timber today, but if you're throwing it around grass where you're reeling it over top of it and you need to rip it, you're probably going to want to go a little stiffer than this particular rod. Now, this particular rod, I like a little bit of rod that has got a little bit of action to it. And this is a Douglas Air. This is a $100 rod, actually $99.99, and I've got a 10% off discount. I'm telling you, geeks, I keep telling you all, love the cork handle, love the split handle. You need to try these. I'm dying for you geeks to try these. And leave me a comment down there and tell me how much you love them, because they let you know this is actually the chatterbait rod, which works great for a lipless. This is a 7-1, and generally I like a 7-1. I like a little bit longer rod, 7-1, 2, 3, even up to a 7-6. A 7-3 generally is my go-to, but the 7-1 works perfectly. This is a Douglas 715, so it means it's 7'1" 5 power, which makes it a medium, heavy, fast action. But this rod, they've also got a spinnerbait in the rod in this. It's a little stiffer. This rod has got really great backbone. I'd probably put it at a medium, heavy, closer to a moderate fast rod, which is why I really like it with this, because it really loads up. I can really throw this for a mile and cast it long distances. I've got that coupled with a Lew's Custom Pro. Now, they've upgraded the Custom Pro. This is a 6/8-1, and that's what I like with this, because it's 6/8-1 is a great speed that I can burn it, that if I'm doing some of the like yo-yo retrieves and that sort of stuff, I can set the hook and catch up, or I can fish it nice and slow like one of the retrieves I'm going to show you today. And this is where I really love the K9 Copoly. They call it fluoro, but it's actually a special blend copolymer, which means it's got just a little bit of stretch, still completely invisible in this ultra clear lake that I'm fishing today. So it does an incredible job. Love it for those horizontal running baits, those baits that have treble hooks on them. Now, I generally throw 10 pound, 10 to 12. We got 12-pound test on this today. And again, got a 10% off discount for K9 right here. So first, I'm going to give you locations, places where you're going to target this if you don't have grass. If you have grass, hey, you've already won half the battle, right? You're going to throw it over top of that grass. You're going to work it. You're going to work it through. You're going to rip it free. If you don't have grass, as you can see, like behind me right here, you just got different type of rock. You got rock, little rock, big rock, medium size rock, slab rock, all kinds of rock. What you're going to do is you're going to fish the main lake or the first thirds of the creek. So the first thirds of the creek, you're going to fish any sort of point, any sort of rock transition, anything, you know, any sort of long point, the humps, those shallow areas, it's got some rock on it, some chunk rock, some bigger rock, because we're going to do a few different things. And some of it you can actually see behind me on this point. We've got a nice little, just chunky rock, kind of fist size, transitions over to clay mud. And then over this way, we've got some clay mud, and it really transitions to some, really slab rock, that big seams in it. And we're going to fish those two different ways. But those are the types of places you're going to want to look at this time of year. Retrieves. We're going to talk to you about 3 retrieves that I really love this time of year. One is going to be a little more for spring, but these 2 are going to be the primary retrieves when it comes to wintertime fishing a trap. So when it comes to fishing a trap, the first retrieve, this is the sort of standard wintertime trap fishing, the yo-yo. You're going to throw it out there. You're going to go from what I call a 9 to about a 10. You're not going to move it far. You just want to feel it vibrate, pulsate about 3 to 5 times, and then drop your rod tip and let it go back down. And you're going to work that all the way out. This 5/8 is great because you can work it pretty deep. And again, that's only a 3-inch bait. You're going to do that the whole way back to the boat until you figure out what depth level or what sort of structure these bass are sitting on. So they could be 25 feet deep. If they're 25 feet deep, you're then going to target that area. They could be in rock or a certain type of rock. You're going to target that certain type of rock. Next, and this is probably one of my favorite, really tough, we got 41 degree water temps today, winter time retrieves. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast it out there, same areas, and I'm just going to shake the slack in the line. Just enough to where this thing, it might flip over, it might just barely rattle. Now it works a little better with a rattling than it does a hard knock, but here's where the hard knock comes in. You're going to drop your rod tip down, and you're just going to drag it on the bottom, and it's just going to, that nose is going to point down, you're going to get that hard knock, and you're going to drag it through the rock, bumping everything you can bump. You want it to stay nose down on the bottom. And you're not going to drag it far, drag it about 1 foot to 2 foot, and you're going to stop. You're going to shake it. You're going to drag it. You're going to shake it. One of the best wintertime retrieves I can give you. The third retrieve is your standard springtime retrieve. When they're up, they're moving, they're on their way to their spawning areas. You're going to get tight to the bank. You're going to throw it down there. You're going to parallel the bank or 45 degree the bank. You're going to throw it. You're going to let it sink to the bottom, and then you're just going to start reeling. But don't just straight reel. So what you're going to do is you're going to reel, you're going to stop, and you're going to reel. You're going to stop, and you're going to reel. You're going to stop, twitch, twitch, reel. Throw in odd cadences to this bait. You'll get a lot more bites doing that. This is a treble hook bait. I always like to side set. That's going to keep the rod tip down, and then you're going to play the bass. Make sure if you have to engage or loosen your drag. Treble hooks, sometimes they'll come up and swat at it, or sometimes they'll pick it up, and when you start dragging, you'll feel them. You might only have one hook in. Take your time, even though when they're cold, they're still, especially the smallmouths and spots, they're still going to give you a fight. So take your time with them, get them to the bank, get that net out, and put them in the net. Be careful if you have to thumb them. Do not boat hop them. Don't want a bunch of treble hooks coming back into your face, or your hand. And that's really it. You do those retrieves during the winter time, and you're going to catch a ton of bass. Like I said, everybody knows how to fish it in grass if you got grass. If not, it's really that simple. Find grass, throw it over them, reel it fast enough, When it gets hung, just give it a couple of rips and keep going. So I've got a really great breakdown on a lot of these different lipless crankbaits and the body styles that you can go check out right here. Otherwise, questions, comments in the comments section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell so you get the notifications when these videos come out. Be part of that 100% watch squad. Just watch the videos when they come out to be part of it. It's free, and you geeks rock.